I'm going to give you 4 ways to make your cycles renders more realistic. It's 4 easy ways. These are not going to be complicated, and you probably will know about most of them, but stick around, watch, and maybe you won't know one of the 4 or 2 of the 4, and this can help you. It's basic, but let's get into it. So first one is depth of field. Okay, so I'm going to bring in a render. So I've got a scene here. Let me go to layout, and let's go to camera, and let's click here. Okay, you can see here we are in the scene. Very basic, but what you want to do is, if you want to make it look a little bit more realistic, let's say you're going to render this image like this. So it's just going to be this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my camera up a little bit. So I'm going to shift it somewhere like that. So we get more flowers in the scene. Okay, this looks nice, looks good. If you had to render it, it would look okay. But if you want to make it look a little bit more realistic, when you take photos with a camera, you get that nice kind of blurry foreground and kind of, it's called depth of field. And it's actually really easy to do so. You obviously have to set up a camera, and then you're going to click on your camera, and you're going to go here to your camera, and you're going to enable depth of field, and you can see really what that does. Now this is a little bit harsh, so you want to play with your settings. So what you'll first do is you'll select somewhere for the focus point. So if you focus further back, this will be more blurry in the foreground. If you focus here, so if I click here and I click there, you can see there, this will become more sharper. So what you want to do is, or you can set the distance. So you could set that, and you could set the distance somewhere like that. I'm just going to make it 10. So you can pick an object. I'm just going to select the plane, and you can see that blurs it out. Now the f-stop, if you bring this to 20, you'll see this will become more in focus. So it's basically like you're not even using depth of field. So if I turn it off and turn it on, it doesn't do much. So you want it to be, you can see 2.8 is a little bit too blurry. So if you want, set it to about 5, and it just brings a little bit more focus here, but you still get that blur. And this will make your renders look a lot more realistic, because it will almost be like you've taken it with a photo, with a camera. Okay, next one. This is going to be basically 2 kind of parts. You can see this is not the most realistic kind of scene. It's just a ocean with like a ball kind of emulating, kind of like just lighting the scene. So you can see if I turn this on, if I turn this off, you've got no lighting. This is the only thing lighting the scene. But if you want to make it look a little bit better and a little bit more realistic, then what you can do is you can select this and go here to compositing. So you can click here, and you can go Shift A, and you can look for a glare node, and you can just plug it in like this, and you can set it to fog glow. Now if I go back to layout, you can see nothing really happens, but if I render it without the fog glow, it's going to look like this. If I render it with the fog glow, it's going to kind of just give it like that glow, like, it looks a lot more realistic with a fog glow and a glare node. And another thing you can do is, for a scene like this, you can set a cube. So if I click here, I've got a cube around here, and this will just add a little bit of fog, so you can see there, and it just makes it look a little bit better. So you can see there, and all you do to do that is you just go to shading, and you click on your cube, and you just add a principled volume, and you plug the volume. So you'll delete the principled BSDF, add a principled volume, and change the density to somewhere like that. You have to play around with it, and that just adds a little bit more realism to the scene. So this is one tip, but I've added 2 in this one tip and combined them to help you out. Next one is, I've got a basic scene here, and this is going to be pretty basic, but what I would suggest is using realistic materials. So if I click here and I click on this and I go here, and you can either use something like Blender kits as give you great materials, but something like real-time materials from Vidiq is also very good. So you can see here, you got basics, you got all these kind of things. You could click there, and you could add this material on there, and give you something like that. And you can see how nice these look. So you can click here, and you can get gold flakes. Boom, it adds it there. That's not what I wanted, so I'm just going to undo this. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to add this there, and you can see what it does to the render. So same thing here. Change this material. I'm not gonna make it that. I'm gonna make it something like not a class. Let's just go with something like a abstract and take plastic. Boom, and it gives you something like this. You can just see how nice it makes your render look. Obviously, I haven't subdivided this enough to make it nice and smooth, but you can see how nice a good realistic material makes your renders look. And yeah, this is probably one of the most important things. You want realistic materials, you want realistic grass. So yeah, it's unfortunately a lot of times you got to pay for these kind of things, but if you want to invest in yourself, then yeah, this makes your life so much easier. Instead of having to create this complicated material, you just throw it on there, pay once, and helps you out, saves a lot of time. Would really advise looking into it. Obviously, if you're just a hobbyist then and you don't have a lot of money, then you can I'd also suggest probably learning how to create these kind of materials, and yeah, in the future, if you've got some money, buying them. And yeah, hopefully this makes sense. And the last tip is lighting. So HDRI lighting is very important. You can see here, you can see for something like this, you want everything lit, so you can throw on a lighting, so an HDRI, so boom, and you can see you can get something from Polyhaven. I've got this built into Blender because I paid for it, but you can just download the HDRI, type in environment. You can see if I change this, it changes all kinds of things. So it all changes, the lighting changes a lot, so you can see how it affects your whole scene depending on the lighting. So you can see there, some are harsh, some are not so harsh. So it all depends on what you're looking for. But lighting is very crucial. It will make your renders look a lot more realistic, and picking the right lighting will help that. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully this 4 tips helped you. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out Blender Kits, link in the description. Check out the Patreon. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.